Hey everyone, this is Kyle from motorcyclehabit.com, and today I'm going to be telling you a few of the main reasons why your motorcycle won't start. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is a dirty carburetor. A dirty carburetor is always the first thing. If a motorcycle's been sitting for a little while, it's the first thing that you should check. If you ride it regularly, if you're riding at least once a week, then this is not something you need to check. But if it's been sitting for a couple months, then this is most likely your problem. I have fixed, I don't even know how many motorcycles. And when the person comes in and says, yeah, I rode it a few months ago and then it sat and now I can't get it to start, that's your reason right there. So a carburetor, if you've never fixed one of these before, always sits, well usually sits on the back side of the engine, and it's usually connected with either just a few nuts like this or hose clamps. And it's pretty easy to take off this one. There's one nut here and one on the other side of the carburetor as well. You take off your air filter, take off those two nuts, and then you can slide the carburetor off. Some things, once you've got the carburetor off, this bottom part is called the bowl. And inside the bowl, your gas sits in there, and as your engine's running, the gas gets sucked up into the engine and then detonates in the combustion chamber. So when your gas or your fuel has been sitting for a while, it starts to gum up inside here, and as it gets sucked up, it goes through these things called jets, and jets have tiny holes in them, and when those jets get clogged up, then your motorcycle won't run at all, obviously. So that's the first thing to check. The second thing to check is your battery. So batteries on almost all motorcycles sit right here in the center of the bike, and all motorcycles have a positive and a negative terminal, if you can see that way back there. If your bike's been sitting for a little while, especially if it's cold, then you need to check your battery. You can get a little multimeter. You put one prong on this, one prong on that, and it doesn't matter which one's on which. You turn it on to DC voltage, put each prong on there, and it should read above 12.0 volts. If it reads below that, your motorcycle's not going to start. If it has a full charge, it'll be at 12.6 volts. So check your battery, make sure it's between 12 and 12.6. Okay, the third main reason is a blown main fuse. My main fuse is right here, sitting right by the battery. It's an inline fuse, so when I pop this connector apart right here, there's a little glass fuse that sits inside there, and you can take that out, and there's a little wire that runs through the fuse. If that wire's broken, then your fuse is bad and your motorcycle won't run. This happens pretty frequently on older bikes, not so much on newer bikes. But if you know the carb is clean, you know that it was running just a few days ago and now you have no idea why it won't start, check your main fuse. It's usually a 20 or 30 amp fuse. They're really cheap. So check that thing, make sure it's not blown. Okay, fourth thing, check your spark plugs. Your spark plugs are always going to be extremely accessible on motorcycles. The engineers make it that way for a reason. So to check your spark plug, all you have to do is remove your spark plug wire. Usually they're 5/8 sockets, not always, but usually. So you take it off, and first look at this top connection. Make sure it's not corroded. Make sure it's clean, and then undo the spark plug and look at the tip. If the tip is rusted or is covered in oil or is very discolored, then I would get a new spark plug. They're only a few bucks at a parts store. You're going to have one spark plug per cylinder. So let's say if you have a Harley, you're going to have two because you've got a twin V, right? This motorcycle is only a single cylinder, so I only have one spark plug. Some of the old Honda CBs and old Yamahas, those usually have 3 or 4. Yeah, so always check your spark plug. They're cheap and really easy to fix. The last thing I'll talk about here is actually the spark plug wire itself. It's a pretty common culprit. So you take it off, and how you check it, clean the grime off and bend it. And as you bend it like this, look for cracks. If you have any cracks anywhere on the spark plug wire, that spark, as the current is traveling down through the spark plug wire, it can arc to the engine before it gets to the spark plug, which means that it's not going to spark where it properly should. So make sure you don't have any cracks in your spark plug wire, and make sure, oh, that came off. And make sure this connection right here is tight. Okay, so we have a more extensive article online at motorcyclehabit.com where you can read even more reasons why your motorcycle isn't starting. I only listed 5 or 6, but I think we have 13 of the main reasons online. So if you want to go read that article, go to www.motorcyclehabit.com/start, or click the link below in the description.